There are athletes, there are champions, and then there is Muhammad Ali, the man who didn't just conquer a sport, he conquered the entire world. He was hated by governments, loved by millions, stripped of his title at the peak of his powers, and still, he refused to kneel. This is not just a boxing story. This is the story of a man who looked the entire world in the eye and said, "I am the greatest." Louisville, Kentucky. 1942. A city divided by color, where a black child was born into a world that had already decided what he was and what he was not allowed to become. Cassius Martellus Clay Jr. was born on January 17, 1942, to Cassius Sr., a sign painter, and Odessa Clay, a house cleaner. They were working class. They were black. They were raising children in an America that did not believe in their humanity. When Cassius was 12 years old, someone stole his bicycle, a red Schwinn he treasured more than anything he owned. He reported it to a police officer who also happened to be a boxing trainer. His name was Joe Martin. And that stolen bicycle set off a chain of events that would change the world forever.
He came in crying about his stolen bike. I told him, "Before you whoop somebody, you better learn how to fight first." That was the beginning.
Within weeks, Cassius Clay was in the gym every single day. He had no natural gifts, but he had something rarer, an obsessive, terrifying work ethic, and an unshakable belief that he was special. He would run 4 miles before school every morning. He shadowboxed in his front yard. He talked constantly, to himself, to anyone who would listen, about how great he was going to be. The neighbors thought he was crazy. His trainers thought he might be something else entirely. 1960, Rome, Italy, the Olympic Games. An 18-year-old from Louisville, Kentucky arrived with one mission: to show the world what he was made of. Cassius Clay fought with a style the world had never seen. He moved like a dancer, head back, feet floating, hands low, in direct defiance of everything boxing coaches taught. Critics said he'd get knocked out. Opponents found nothing but air. He won 6 fights. He won the gold medal. He came home a champion. But the story of what happened with that gold medal tells you everything about the America Cassius Clay came home to. Legend has it, and Ali himself told this story many times, that he returned to Louisville as an Olympic gold medalist, went to a diner with a friend, and was refused service because he was black. In disgust, he threw his gold medal into the Ohio River. Whether literally true or not, the story captures something real. No medal could protect him from the America he lived in. He turned professional later that year. His trainer, Angelo Dundee, saw something extraordinary. A heavyweight who moved like a welterweight with the power of a giant. Cassius Clay won his first 15 professional fights, and with each victory, his mouth got louder.
"I am the greatest. I said that even before I knew I was. Don't tell me I can't do something. Don't tell me it's impossible."
February 25, 1964, Miami, Florida. Cassius Clay, 22 years old, was about to fight the most feared man on the planet, Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was not just a champion, he was a monster. He had knocked out Floyd Patterson in 126 seconds, twice. He had a stare that made grown men back away. He had served time in prison. He was connected to organized crime. The man was a walking nightmare, and Cassius Clay was dancing toward him, laughing. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Almost no one gave Clay a chance. The betting odds were 7-1 in Liston's favor. Sports writers were worried Clay would be seriously hurt. Some refused to attend the fight. But inside that young man's mind, there was zero doubt. From the opening bell, something was different. Clay wasn't standing steady. He wasn't trading punches. He was making Liston look slow, old, confused, the most feared heavyweight in history, chasing a ghost. Round after round, Clay danced. He hit and moved. He taunted. He made Liston lunging and wild. And then, Liston didn't come out for round 7. It was over.
I am the greatest. I shook up the world. I'm pretty. I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
They called it the biggest upset in boxing history. It was more than that. It was the arrival of something completely new. The day after beating Liston, Cassius Clay stood in front of the press and made an announcement that sent shockwaves across America.
Cassius Clay is a slave name. I didn't choose it and I don't want it. I am Muhammad Ali and you will call me by my name.
Muhammad Ali, a name given to him by Elijah Muhammad, leader of the Nation of Islam. A Muslim name, a black man's name, a declaration of identity in a country that had spent 400 years trying to strip black people of exactly that. The backlash was immediate and savage. Sports writers refused to use his new name. Fans called him a traitor. Promoters threatened his career. The establishment, which had loved Cassius Clay, the charming, photogenic boxer, had no idea what to do with Muhammad Ali, the unapologetically black, unapologetically Muslim world champion. He didn't care. He had never needed their approval. He had found something more powerful, his own identity. What the world was witnessing was not just a name change, it was a man being born, and the world would never be the same. 1967, America was at war in Vietnam, and the US military wanted Muhammad Ali.
Why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and bullets on brown people in Vietnam, while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs?
His refusal was instant, total, uncompromising. "I got no quarrel with the Viet Cong," he said. Words that would echo through history. The government moved swiftly. The New York State Athletic Commission stripped him of his boxing license. His passport was seized. He was convicted of draft evasion and sentenced to 5 years in prison, though he remained free on appeal. He was 25 years old, the heavyweight champion of the world, and they took everything from him. For 3.5 years, what many consider the prime of his boxing life, Muhammad Ali could not fight, could not earn a living from the sport he had devoted his entire existence to. He lost millions of dollars. He lost the best years of his physical peak, but he did not break.
He gave up years of his career. He stood alone. He said this was wrong, and history has proven him right.
In 1971, the United States Supreme Court overturned his conviction, 8-9. By then, history had already begun to judge him, not as a criminal, but as a prophet. March 8, 1971, Madison Square Garden, New York City. Two undefeated heavyweight champions, Ali versus Frazier, the fight of the century. Joe Frazier had become champion while Ali was exiled. He was everything Ali was not: short, powerful, relentless, a punishing body attacker who walked through punishment like it was nothing. But Ali had made it personal in a way that went too far.
He called me ignorant. He called me a gorilla. He called me an Uncle Tom. That hurt. That really hurt. I never forgave him for that completely.
The fight that followed was brutal, historic, and heartbreaking. Frazier dropped Ali in the 15th round with a thunderous left hook. For a moment, it looked like it was over. Ali rose. He went the distance. But when the decision was read, Frazier won. Ali's first professional loss. For Ali, it was a lesson. For boxing, it was the greatest night in the sport's history. And it was only part one of the trilogy. October 30th, 1974. Kinshasa, Zaire, now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Muhammad Ali, 32 years old, past his prime by every expert's calculation, was about to fight George Foreman, the most terrifying puncher on the planet. George Foreman had annihilated Joe Frazier, the man who defeated Ali in 2 rounds. He had knocked down Frazier 6 times. 6 times. The experts were genuinely worried Ali might be seriously hurt or killed in the ring. But something extraordinary was happening. The people of Africa, 60,000 of them packing the stadium, had claimed Ali as their own. "Ali, Bomaye!" they chanted. "Ali, kill him!"
I'm gonna let him hit me. I'm gonna let him punch himself out. Then, I'm gonna take over.
What Ali executed that night became one of the most brilliant tactical masterstrokes in sports history. The rope-a-dope. He leaned back on the ropes, covered up, let Foreman throw hundreds of punches into his arms and body, tiring himself out. Commentators were horrified. His corner was begging him to move. And then, in round 8, Ali uncurled. A perfect combination: right hand, left hook, right hand. George Foreman crumbled to the canvas for the first time in his professional career. He could not beat the count. Muhammad Ali was world heavyweight champion, again. At 32, against the most feared puncher alive, the miracle of Kinshasa, the greatest upset, the greatest performance, the most extraordinary single moment in boxing history. October 1st, 1975, Manila, Philippines. Ali versus Frazier, for the third and final time. Both men were past their best. Both men still had wars to fight. Ali taunted Frazier mercilessly in the build-up, called him a gorilla, brought a rubber gorilla to press conferences. The cruelty was real and it was calculated. Ali used psychological warfare the way other fighters used jabs. What followed was not sport, it was war. Round after savage round, both men were pushed to the absolute limit of human endurance. In the later rounds, both fighters were barely standing. Ali's trainer, Angelo Dundee, was about to throw in the towel. Frazier's trainer, Eddie Futch, watching his man barely able to see, stopped the fight before round 15.
This is the closest I've ever come to dying. That was the hardest fight of my life. Joe Frazier, I'll tell the world right now, brings out the best in me.
After Manila, both men were never quite the same. Their bodies had been pushed beyond what any human body was designed to survive. But they had given the world something eternal. The late 1970s were hard years to watch for Ali's fans. He fought on longer than he should have. His hands were slower. The punishment had accumulated. In 1981, he retired. He had fought 61 professional fights, won 56, lost 5, knocked out 37 opponents. By the mid-1980s, it was undeniable. Muhammad Ali had Parkinson's syndrome, a neurological disease linked, many doctors believed, to the cumulative brain trauma from decades of boxing. He moved more slowly. His speech became soft and deliberate. The man who had moved like lightning was now moving through molasses. He never complained. He never sought pity. He said the disease had given him a new purpose, to raise awareness, to show that struggle is not the end of a story. There was not a dry eye in the stadium or watching at home. This was not tragedy. This was dignity. This was the greatest, still on his feet, still carrying the fire, trembling but unbroken. Muhammad Ali transcended sport in a way no athlete before or since has matched. He was not just a boxer, he was a political figure, a humanitarian, a poet, a prophet. He visited countries in crisis. He helped secure the release of hostages. He worked with the United Nations. He met presidents, kings, and ordinary people with equal warmth.
Muhammad Ali's life was a triumph of the human spirit. He was not just a champion of boxing, he was a champion of justice, equality, and dignity.
On June 3, 2016, Muhammad Ali died in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the age of 74. The world stopped. Presidents spoke. Millions wept. But more than grief, there was something else: gratitude, for a life so fully and fearlessly lived. What makes Ali the greatest is not the 56 victories. It is not the 3 heavyweight titles. It is the fact that when the world demanded he be small, he chose to be infinite. When they told him to be quiet, he roared. When they took everything from him, he gave more. He once said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." He did not just live as a boxing champion, he lived as a champion of the human spirit. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. His hands can't hit what his eyes can't see. They could not see him coming, and they will never, ever see his equal again.
If this story moved you, if Ali's courage, sacrifice, and unshakable belief in himself inspired you, then share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And drop a comment below. What lesson from Muhammad Ali's life hits you hardest? Don't forget to subscribe. We drop documentaries like this every week. covering the most extraordinary lives ever lived. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, be great.